NT Media Productions presents I'm Making It Happen.
It seems like the VI lottery is the way to go. Skibbity bitty pop pop, I told her the man stop pop. Skibbity bitty pop boom, well I wanna just come in the room. Skibbity bitty pop pop, the VI lottery hot. Skibbity bitty pop boom, all my friends them winning too. Thanks to the VI lottery, I have special money. I had the winning ticket to help and support my family. Thanks to the VI lottery.
When I was in school, they told us we need to leave the island. There's nothing here. But our whole conversation needs to change because they didn't say get a skill, stay here, or get a skill, go away, get a skill, come back. It said leave. And so the whole conversation needs to change, and that's why a lot of things have stopped, because a lot of the children have left, become adults, they get the skills, they stay away. We talked a lot about, this current technical education board, what it is, what it isn't, what it should be. And in regards to the current technical education in the school, and we're specifically speaking about complex, right? Because that's where the vocational side is the biggest part on St. Croix. What is the ask for the community, and then the professionals?
I want that, number one, every student out there knows that there's just as much money in career technical education than there is in academia. So enroll in the programs that you think you're going to be good at, number one. Number two, if you are a tradesman in the community and you have something that you think you can give back to student outcome, learning outcome, then give me a call.
What do you think are immediate things that we can implement to improve on the labor force and the instruction at the school?
The immediate things that I think education could do is to cut two-year programs into smaller chunks, meaning that a person that's in culinary for 4 or 5 weeks becomes a short order breakfast cook or a prep cook, or not the whole thing, but a small amount. Equally so in construction or carpentry or whatever. So that in welding, maybe our industry out there needs tack welders. That's a skill that they probably can learn within 4 or 6 weeks. Then they become tack welders. They're not full welders. They can't put a nice welding bead onto a pipe, but they can do certain things. Then we can go get these people certified in that small classification. If they want to do more, they could go back and do some more. In the meantime, however, they have a viable a certification that gets them money in their pocket. Now, that of course needs the involvement of the industry. All the industries out there need to go and tell us what they need. A contractor needs to call the board and say, hey, listen, I'm going to need so many this, and this, right? So that we have the ammunition to go back to the Department of Education and say, listen, this is what the industry has told us. They need tack welders, they need rakers, they need, and that's the simple labor that they need, the entry labor force that these young people can do. Once that ammunition comes to us, with that, however, we also need the buy-in from the public industry. So you can't tell me that you would like to have 4 kids to come and carry 2x4s if you're not willing to go and hire them when I send them to you. That's the contract we have to have, right? There's got to be a buy-in. Secondly, I think that when we're talking about general contractors, they have time, maybe not 40 hours, but they can give up 3 hours a week, or one of the supervisors, and they can go back to the school and become secondary teachers. They can help out within a classroom, and when they do that, they can also have the pick of the crop, because now they're in a classroom with 20 young people. They can spot right away which 3 of them are going to be good for them. Those 3 you're going to work on, bring them to the job site, make some money, you got some work done. Those are the immediate things we could do. It doesn't take an act of God to do these things. It takes thinking outside the box, the willingness to go and do something that we're not very, very comfortable for, we're not familiar with, it's a new thing, and I know that there's 600 people going to tell me, no, you can't. The word can't does not exist in my book.
So right now with the vocational side, is it seemingly like disappearing and the students going over there? Is that dwindling down?
That my personal observation is that if we are not making an effort to save career technical education by having buildings which operate to capacity, programs which have the newest equipment and books, instructors who are having fun and want to teach, students who want to learn, that the career technical education, as we know it today, will disappear in the Virgin Islands and be picked up in the private sector. It is already happening.
Okay. So then how do we prevent that from happening?
The idea really is that as a parent, get involved with your kid. As a kid, tell your parents what your ambitions and your dreams are. As a parent, support those dreams. Take them back to school. Let those counselors understand what your sons, your daughters' dreams and ambitions are. Let them not talk you out of it. Put them into career technical education as the law provides. Let them make the decisions when they're older. At the time that they want to be a police officer, let them be a police officer. When they want to be a pilot, let them be a pilot. They'll change their attitude. They'll change their things. Not everybody can be what they want to be. There's some funds involved and all the other things. I get that. But if the Department of Education would think outside the box, instead of having kids at that school age go to school at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning and then be done at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when every shop is about ready to close, and would think outside the box and say, okay, look, if you are in career technical education, your school day, the school part, starts after lunch. Then all these kids can go into the workforce from 7 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock. Do we need general contractors at 7 o'clock in the morning? Sure you do. That's the one that went to college and has already 10 years work experience. But what we need is these 2, 3 guys carrying lumber. Those 4 or 5 guys, they know how to mix cement. Those 6 other guys, they can stick a couple of blocks on top of each other or bring them over to the work site. And suddenly you create a labor force within what you have already. The problem is that nobody is willing to step up and say, instead of taking what everybody else says we should do, let's make us do our thing and let them follow our program.
So I do agree with that. How soon could that be implemented? I'm not sure. I'm sure if we wanted to make it happen, name of the show, then we could do it, right? But realistically,
if you tell me you can't do it, then tell me what we can. Come back with a solution. Simple as that. The solution we need to have is how can we go and use billions of dollars of federal money at home here and keep it here. That's what we need to do.
I think that would be great because that will retain more children staying here. Definitely need to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
And Carlos Furniture have the thing them. Think I need a new sofa. And just wash up for all my dish them. Right here on Island, all these things you'll find. Just head to Carlos Furniture and spend some time. They have brands like G, Serta, Simmons, Posturepedic. They can furnish any room, any day that you need it. Carlos Furniture, they're the best of the best. Rest. Carlos Furniture, 30 years in the biz. Carlos Furniture, quality in the name.
Carlos Furniture delivers 7 days a week, can provide white glove service, and can deliver to the BVI. Carlos Furniture, the place the Caribbean gets its furniture for the past 30 years.
I'm not talking about academia. Not everybody in academia is going to be in CTE, right? Even though the law says they're supposed to. But let's assume now that the 400 kids at CTEC, right now they're following an academic schedule. And academia has scheduled them career technical education classes, be it 3 hours in the morning or 1 hour in the afternoon, whatever they do. By saying that these 3 hours in the morning, right, are going to happen somewhere in the afternoon. However, these kids are going to be now in the workforce, so they're already on OJT. That limits then the afternoon classes because a kid learns already on the street. What did you take in school? Electrical. If I place him with an electrical contractor, and he doesn't do much else but splice a couple of cables every day, that's stuff he does not need to do in school anymore. That is now stuff the teacher at school can go and ask him, and he can say, yeah, we know how to splice, so we splice it, we can now talk about it, we're done with that. It's no longer a week-long thing. If you're going to go and talk about breakers or whatever, taking a breaker box and the reason why you should have a 20 or a 30 or a 40 amp breaker and what they can hold, well, by doing it on the job, you can come back with knowledge in the classroom. Therefore, the classroom space in school becomes smaller, right? So it doesn't really affect the amount of time anymore because instead of 3 hours sitting in the classroom doing the stuff, you're doing it at work. The teacher is supposed to teach you the basics of splicing. The teacher teaches you the basics of electrical, and I'm not an electrician, I have no idea about these things. So what happens then is that in that aspect of teaching, your workforce or the employer becomes your secondary or tertiary teacher. Those are all going to be part of your education. And the teacher at school then can reinforce if people come and work with the electrical guy and say, hey, listen, next week we're going to do a project and I need to then to do heavy duty cabling, right? I mean, we're not talking the little red and blue cables, we're talking about the heavy duty stuff. We really need, I have about 2 months and I need at least 10 of those folks to go and help us doing that. Then they can come up with a curriculum that is specific for that particular labor. Then the school becomes a very viable institution for workforce. Right now, if you want so, right now what career technical education in the Virgin Islands does, it's kind of like a hobby. Mm-hmm. You know, it's easy. We'll go over there. You know, in the early days, you used to have shop classes, right? I used to take culinary because of the girls, right? You took shop classes because you got an hour out of academia and you could cut little pieces of wood around, right? That was the cool stuff. Well, you can't look at that this way anymore. We eliminated the shop classes. Biggest mistake the education ever made. Eliminating home economics. So you have to have instructors which are enthusiastic. You got to have principals which understand what you're doing here. It has to be so enthusiastic that you want to go to school. You don't want to stay home, you want to go to school because it's interesting. And I can tell you the most successful CTE programs are the ones where the teacher is involved. Look, Miss Benjamin at CTEC, cosmetology, full class all the time. On Saturdays, kids would come in and work so they can go. They can make some money for their trips. You know, welding the same way. The kids want to do stuff. They create artwork with welding torches. Aviation, same thing, right? It's not just about flying an airplane. And you know, and when we're talking about in the beginning, we said about what the board should vet or the board should be involved in programs. Should we have a pilot's class in the Virgin Islands? Now, most people will say, yeah, we should. And I would tell you just the opposite. There is no return on investment in that. Because if I create 10 pilots, where are they going to fly?
Away.
Thank you. They'll fly anywhere but at home.
Or make more money.
So my point to you is simply this. Career technical education has to be geared towards what our needs are. Okay. Everybody knows about agriculture. And I think that that's a great thing. Agriculture is a great thing. But define agriculture. Define what it is. When you say you should have enroll in agriculture, yeah, husbandry, plant science, that's part of agriculture. Agriculture entices anything from being a truck driver, which I come back to a drone flyer, to a pilot, to a heavy-duty machine operator, to anything that eventually produces food.
There's 300 careers in agriculture.
Thank you. You want to get in agriculture, figure out one of those 300 careers in agriculture and go into agriculture. When we say agriculture, we're just talking about raising a couple of sheep and growing sweet potato. Great idea. Ain't going to feed you though.
And mind you, there is already a curriculum for that, so you can look it up.
Thank you. But what I said, for instance, heavy-duty machine operators. Can we invest into a forklift that costs $400,000? No. Can I invest into 2 semis so somebody can learn how to drive a semi? No, don't have that kind of money. What I can invest in, however, is a $75,000, $80,000 virtual machine that you can sit in and drive 18 different vehicles. Learn how to drive them. Because in that particular environment, you have cameras all over you, you have screen in front of you, you can go, these things are so sophisticated. And always remember, no pilot learned how to fly by getting in a plane.
A simulator, right? They're in the simulator.
On a simulator.
Right. And actually, I was able to use one of your, what is it called? Goggles. And it was so interesting. It feels like you're in a building. And when you put them on, it looks like you're in a building and you have these arms and you show them on the video. But it was really interesting, and you had that for the students. Which course is that used for?
We have these goggles in the middle schools.
Oh.
And all the career.
It says login, but I'm looking at this warehouse. I'm inside of a building.
Right.
And so, like, with this, what can I can build stuff, like.
So there are 32 different kinds of career explorations that you actually can do with that, but it will have to go and set you up for that. But you can learn how to change the oil on a car, nursing. There are things like cooks.
Development classes, they have these so that the students, they have, instead of going to all these different things, they have a goggle. They can put the goggles on, they can learn how to go change the oil in a car, they can learn how to cook. Small little segments, but if that's what they say, oh, I would like to do that, then we can go and say, okay, now we take inventory, we move them from middle school into high school, and automotive is what you want to learn, right?
Right.
But I think what people don't understand is we have to go with the time. The cooking, there's a lot of motor skills involved. You cannot flip an egg without having motor skills, right? You can't whip without having that motor skill. Those things you can learn virtually. Those are motor skills. If in virtual reality you can flip eggs and you learn how to do that, you can do that in reality. If you learn in virtual reality how to do backing up an 18-wheeler without hitting the wall left or right, those become motor skills. So then you can go into an 18-wheeler and suddenly you can drive an 18-wheeler and you don't have to go away. Here's what happens now. We don't have to school to teach these people to do the heavy 18-wheel driving. So what do they do? They're going to go away. Would you come back when you get a job that offers you, $20,000 for a load of something from left to right? No, you're going to stay there. Somebody's going to pick you up. Your skills are suddenly as valuable there, if not more, than they're here. So our problem is that, look, every kid wants to go away. I understand that. There are malls. There are fun things to do, water parks, and all kinds of good stuff, right? The problem is just like a restaurant. You lose a customer because of bad service or bad food at one time, they go somewhere else, they have to better than you do. They won't be back in your restaurant. When we let our kids go somewhere else, and they find that there's something a little better, maybe the houses are cheaper, food is cheaper, cars are faster, girls are prettier.
You are not saying that one. I will not allow that one. Thank you very much. You gotta retract that one.
So there we go.
There, girls are not prettier. Oh wait. Okay, thank you.
It seem like the VI lottery is the way to go. Skibbity pop pop, I told her the man stop hot. Skibbity pop boom, well I wanna just come in the room. Skibbity pop pop, the VI lottery hot. Skibbity pop boom, all my friends them winning too. Thanks to the VI lottery, I have special money. I had the winning ticket to help and support my family. Thanks to the VI lottery.
So you said you wanted children to apply, or what is it called, enroll in these courses?
Enroll in the courses. keep CTE alive, you can only keep CTE alive if you take courses. If courses die because there's only 2-3 kids in culinary, the ROI is not there. I would not keep on having an instructor with 3 kids, right? So enroll in culinary, enroll in welding, in automotive, in cosmetology, in carpentry, in plumbing, electricity, all the things that we have.
But wouldn't that be on the side of education to make sure that their children are enrolling in these things? Because, I mean, you have these electives.
But what did you track back? What did you say? They told you to go away. How?
Right, but I had a track. No, listen, but the difference of that is that my track was different. When I was in school, we had a lot of people involved in vocational side. We had, the track was vocational, the track was academic or magnet, and I also was able to participate in vocational courses. However, so we knew, and we had to take an elective on the vocational side. So my thing is that isn't on the role to like encourage the children to take on these courses.
You have to separate CTE so that your CTE track has counselors who are educated under career technical education. They are not.
It seems like a lot. So what are we saying about children taking these courses? Because now that means you need to like market or promote to the parents for the children to take these courses, because it needs to have some cohesiveness.
No.
Not before that. When I was there, the air or the connotation they gave vocational courses was that if you don't see yourself going to college or you don't think you'll do well in college, then you go take a vocational
That's
course.
the problem.
And that's the problem.
That is,
doesn't mean if you're dumb or not, you should go take a
no.
No, that shouldn't mean.
No,
that's how they make it sound.
But our problem is that in the United States, the college track is what everybody pushed. Today we found ourselves in a deep hole of labor shortage. Not just here, in the United States as well. Because everybody went to college level. Now, here's the problem. You spend $30,000-$40,000 worth of money instead of making it. When we gave up the apprenticeship for technical colleges, where our problem started, we started sending everybody to college, and everybody went to college. And on top of that, if you have a daughter, and the daughter wants to weld, don't tell her she's a girl, she can't do that. There is nothing, absolutely nothing that stands in the way of a young lady to do anything a man can do. And probably better, but I'm keeping that quiet. I just said that because my wife might watch. But it's the truth, right? I mean, a lot of these times when girls go to counselors, they're discouraged to take in a career time education class. Why? There is money in that.
Let's get into your ask about the professionals being instructors in the school system.
I'm going to offer my office as a in-between between a professional that wants to get into teaching. I can be kind of like this list keeper of professionals who wants to get into the school. The other thing too, a lot of these professionals are not in for the money. I think that's the misconception.
So go on. So they're not in for the money, of course. Why is it to their advantage or to their benefit to give up like couple hours a week?
A general contractor, an electrician, anybody that has a business out there can go and make his employee, right? So it might not be about the money he makes that education pays him. It may be just about creating the next employee for his company. And let me tell you, that's probably the best damn offer I can make anybody. Make your own employee within a school system. Grab these kids when they're still interested, when they're bright and open at 16, 17, mold them, form them, and you have an employee for life.
Overall, they get the time, the space, and they get access to the children that have an interest, and they can have a possibility of choosing those might do well in their business.
Yeah.
Right? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And so again, we're going to ask professionals to be involved. Contact Mr. Anton Doos at the Current Technical Education Board as a possibility. Just open up the conversation in regards if you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're a welder, construction, roofer, whatever it is. See how we can increase the labor force here in St. Croix, and that we can reduce the attrition of our students leaving the territory and use our own labor force instead of having to bring in people from other countries or the States to do the same work that our students can do.
Here is what I would really like the public to do and the students. I would like to call my office, make my phones be so busy, keep my staff so busy in taking down your number, and when you would like to have a town hall meeting with me and you, sit all in the room and throw some question and hopefully some great idea at each other, which are not influenced by politics or by money or by anything else, but by the idea of getting workers on the street, education in our kids, and keeping our talents at home. If we can come together and sit together in a room, and let me tell you, if you want to have a beer, have a beer. Don't make a difference to me, right? But have a good conversation. Throw these ideas around. Some of them will stick, and some of them will fall off the wall. I get it. But if we do not talk, if we do not open up this Pandora's box, if we do not say things are no longer working the way they've been, we're not going to go nowhere. And that's pretty much all I got to say.
Well, this is Mr. Anton Doos, Executive Director of the Current Technical Education Board. We learned a lot. I really appreciate your passion and that you really want to see this the vocational side flourish. I like the idea of running it like a business, and that getting our return back on educating our children, and that's not a bad thing. In other countries, they have a purpose when they're educating their children. Either way, they have to come. If they send them away, they got to come back, or if they stay, they already have a track. Any of the trades professions, please contact Mr. Anton Doos. Parents, you're watching, we talked about making sure to listen to your children and allow them to pursue their interests. And then the children, make sure you communicate to your parents what your interest is and look into that. Do your own research, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Anton Doos, for being with us today and doing all that you can to get the word out about the Current Technical Education Board and its role and your interest to getting more community participation.
Yeah, I appreciate you having taken your time, and let's make it happen.
Definitely, I love that. Let's continue to make it happen. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Making It Happen with Exceptionally Yours, Nykole Tyson. Remember, if you don't see something happening, create it. Be the change. And until next time, keep thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines, and remember, it's about you, me, we. So make it happen.
This was an NT Media production. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. It's a sociable thing to do.